I'm here today with the fantastic Cass Hopetoun, who has been releasing so many great singles over the past few months, and those singles can now be found on her new album, Not Your Typical Bride. Cass, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to talk about this album, which I've had on repeat and not wanting to get off repeat, I have to say, because it's a full spectrum emotional experience, this album. And I'm maybe think because each song has such care in it, and it sounds like, you've crafted each one so beautifully. But I'm wondering if you have a favorite song or if it changes.
It changes. I think at each given time I have a favorite song, but then next week I'll be like, no, 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 this one's the best one.
So what is it right now?
At the moment, I think it's probably Karma.
All right. Yes. Yes. Well, and Karma, which is not so much a murder ballad as an I'm glad he's dead ballad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm somewhat hesitant to even ask what the motivation behind that song might have been, or the inspiration rather.
It was one of those things. I think I heard an interview once about writing a song with it, like your murder ballad or your gun song. Like you have to get it out of the way because everyone just wants to write one like that, some kind of, special song like that. And it was actually meant to be called A Girl and Her Gun. And it was something that I was kind of playing around with, just kind of having fun with it. Didn't really know what it would be. And then I brought it to Blake and he had this musical idea that fit kind of perfectly. So it all just kind of, and then I think we wrote it at the kitchen table, within an hour. So it kind of just flowed out because it was just kind of I don't even know what genre you call it in the end, but it's just a bit of fun.
It's my question. Actually, I just was looking at my notes and saying it sounds like it was fun to write. So there you go. It was fun. And you mentioned Blake, who is Blake Dantier, who I believe co-wrote the songs on this album with you, all of them. Is that true?
Yeah. So he's my fiance, and we wrote, pretty much everything on there was either co-written or Blake wrote a few just on his own as well.
He's been having a busy month because, of course, his album just came out as well. So it's
a bit crazy here.
In your household.
Oh yeah.
So what do you enjoy about collaboration? I guess for some artists might just want to go off on their own and do it, but clearly for you, collaboration works.
Yes, definitely. I think especially Blake and I working together, or then adding in a third person, it works really well because sometimes I'm really good at coming up with an idea and how the song will go, but then I might get to the second verse and just be I got nothing, I'm done. So if I can bring a little bit of a song to Blake, he'll be oh, it's obvious we should do this. So it's definitely more heads are better than one, because you might get stuck on a certain point, but that section of the song to someone else is easy. So then It comes together really nicely.
And I imagine you've played that role for him as well with his own material.
Yeah, there's I think songs on his album, I think there's somewhere I've written a line or been a word, or I'm you should do that, and he's oh yeah. I don't think I'm credited, but I know.
Well, I did hear that the John Lennon Paul McCartney writing partnership was sometimes along those lines. One of them would write a song, take it to the other one, who might change a line and still get the joint credit. So Blake, I think, hand over that credit.
Yeah.
So some of these songs are deeply thoughtful. I wasn't going to say dark. I was sort of making notes thinking they're not dark, but Never Was, for example, and Parallel Lines, even Barbie Doll, they're really perceptive, sad in some ways, but I think so clear-eyed about what they're saying that you don't feel sad listening to them. But then there's Who Needs Hawaii, which is a really joyous song. And so that's what I was meaning about that full spectrum emotional experience. So I'm wondering if you looked at the songs you had and thought, I'm trying to put together an array of human experience, or if it was just the way that it worked out.
No, definitely. We looked at the album as a whole. So me and my manager and Blake as well. And we thought we don't want it to be all dark. We don't want it to be all boppy and happy. We want it to be a mix of things. So there was definitely songs that was great songs that didn't make it on the album, but just because, we wanted it to be you went on a journey. You didn't go sucked into a dark hole and never come out. So I definitely thought about that a lot, because I definitely wanted, I wanted it to end in kind of a fun vibe with Karma, but then start, with Bonfire, but then you're kind of just doing this sort of thing going around.
Yeah. And that's exactly how it came across. So, because I did feel even musically there were cues going on as to what was shifting and changing. because you're not straight country the whole way through. There are different musical influences on it, but it sounds very much like you looked at each song on its merits and thought, what is going to work for this song, rather than trying to make it fit into a particular genre.
Oh, definitely. And I think like I didn't even think of it as an album, like when I was writing each song, because I think sometimes these are great like concept albums where they think about it each time you're writing one, has to fit into the general groove of the album. But mine were just they're kind of like their own thing, and somehow they fit together.
Yeah, they do. And now you mentioned that there are songs that didn't make it. So does that mean you've got some tucked away for future singles, or in fact for the next album?
Yeah, there's definitely like a short list for album number 2 where they're still great and I love them. So I'm like, I'm not throwing you away. You're just going to get put there for a while and you'll come back.
Well, that's good for your fans to know that there's a little stash sitting there.
Yeah.
So I mentioned collaborating with Blake, but you did a vocal collaboration with Andrew Swift, and I'm wondering how that partnership came about.
So we were kind of just talking on Instagram, which is how it worked in like the world that we're in today. And then with COVID, we were kind of just talking there for a while, and we caught up when he was recording his album, and he was telling me all about this duet he was trying to find a partner for. He's like, I need to find a female voice, and I was like, hello, I'm right here. But he was looking for some other people, and I think something like I'm not sure what the plans, like what happened with them, but then he gave me a call a few weeks later and said, hey, about that duet, like would you like to do it with me? And then I tried to act cool about it. I was like, yeah, I'll have a listen. When I heard the song though, I was like, oh my God, it's so good. And I was, definitely. And obviously after that, but all just kind of through meeting him and becoming great mates. And then me just kind of like jokingly putting my foot in it.
Well, I do like how he said, oh, maybe, there are some other people I have in mind. He's sitting right there.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it worked out in the end, because it is a terrific song and your voices do work really well together. I imagine it would be hard to perform it live with the two of you, just because being in the one place at the one time may not happen, but Tamworth is coming up, so who knows?
Yes, might be popping up somewhere.
Well, that's good to know. Now, as I said, you've released several of these songs as singles, and you've also created some great videos with them. And I know that you have a musical theatre background, so I'm wondering if that actually made you think differently about video, because as an emerging artist, this is your first album, video may not necessarily be the focus that it clearly is for you, in a great way, because there's a lot of thought behind those videos. So is that your entire theatrical background coming to bear?
Yes, I think so. Like when I'm writing a song or when we've had a demo of a song, I can see like a video in my head already. So it's definitely like that part of my brain is like always ticking over. And I think I come from an acting background. So when I get an opportunity to record some sort of piece that's, visual, it definitely like is really important to me to make it great and not just be like, oh, I'm just going to sing, because that's not me. I like to be a little bit more extra.
Well, and it adds to the storytelling, because, as I said, you've put so much care into the way these songs are produced and recorded that it makes sense to take care with the video, and it's a bonus for the listener slash watcher.
Yeah.
As well. So your acting background, because I haven't found much about that. It was just briefly mentioned in the material I saw, so it'd be great to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. So I guess it's what I imagine myself to be doing for like my life as my career. So when I was in high school, we had school musicals there, and I just fell in love with them and did that all through school, did some bigger shows when I left as well. And I studied at NIDA a long time ago. It doesn't feel like that long, but I studied at NIDA, did music theatre there. And then when I left, I was doing a bit more of shows, and then I just kind of wasn't really enjoying the whole audition process. I love being in shows, but it's a very cutthroat industry, very different to the country one where everyone's very supportive and lovely. But that industry, I realized I didn't really enjoy it as much as other things I was doing. And then when country came along, when I started getting more into that, into writing, I thought this is where I'd love to sit. And it kind of takes that storytelling from doing music theatre into the songwriting, which I really love how it's like somehow worked out really well.
Yeah. So what was your introduction to country music?
Through Blake. So
Right.
My family's not very musical. So in terms of genres I found, they're all through other people I met along the way. So um, when I started dating Blake, which was 8 years ago, he would play country music all the time. He'd be writing country music. I'd go watch his shows, sing some songs on the gigs. And it was kind of that thing where I didn't realize how much I was falling in love with it until one day I was like, putting that on the radio instead of like, stuff I used to listen to. And just being like immersed by it, again, just by like accident, just kind of realizing that this is my new genre. I love this.
Mm-hmm. And can you remember the first artists you started to listen to? Like, the phrase gateway drug gets used a lot, but who were your gateway drugs into country music?
I think I think Blake found this artist. She's called Brandy Clark, and he was put her on at some point, and I was like, I love this girl. Like, it was in terms just like of any type of genre, it's like I love what she's doing, and I would like find myself putting that album on repeat. And she was definitely my like inspiration for writing, because that was something that was new to me as well. I thought like, I want to be Brandy Clark. So that was like my gateway drug was Brandy.
So given that you didn't come from a musical background, to go from a standing start pretty much to become a musician, did it just seem like this whole other world of how am I going to even learn an instrument? How am I going to start singing? Or was there something instinctual in you that just started to emerge when you started singing?
I think my parents wanted me to go into like an instrument lesson, which, they didn't see singing as like an instrument. So I had to learn piano. And I liked piano, but I didn't really like have that kind of drive to practice all that much. And then when they let me do singing lessons, it all just kind of fell into place. And I thought, I love this. And like, I'd want to practice. I get really interested in how like the voice worked, how performing happened. So it all just kind of felt very instinctual from there after I started really just focusing on singing and the voice and performing. And I think my parents were just a bit like, what is going on? What is her life?
Who is this child?
Yeah, not ours.
So the piano's been left behind, never to be touched again.
Yeah, I like tell everyone, like, if you start learning an instrument when you're younger, just push through. I was like, no, I just want to sing. And now I'm like, you could have done both, Cass. You didn't have to just give up piano.
Except I think, as someone who learned piano for years as well, that the drudgery of scales and drills and things like that when you're starting out doesn't necessarily indicate that you're going to be able to play lovely pieces at the end. Whereas I guess with singing, you can get to singing fairly quickly compared with how you can get to playing Chopin, for example, if you're learning piano.
Yes. Oh, totally. I think because I teach singing is like my little side hustle. And I love to tell my students, like, when you just get to sing straight away, you get to do it and you make great progress really quickly. Whereas with piano, I had a very classical teacher, which is great. Like, it's a great background to start in. But I was like, I don't even understand how this translates to, I want to play like pop music. So it's all like, it depends how disciplined you are as a kid as well, like how you kind of see the bigger picture.
Yeah, true. I used to bash the keys when I made mistakes. So clearly I did not see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So your music has led you to a Golden Guitar nomination as Best New Talent of the Year, which is fantastic, and highly competitive. And country music is, yes, very supportive in Australia, but there are a lot of fantastic artists out there. So it must have been really exciting when that came through.
It was amazing. I think because I know that category in particular, like, there's so many new people popping up every year. So it's, I think it's extra competitive to compete with all the newbies. Like hearing my name called out, it was amazing. And I think people keep asking like, oh, how do you feel about, are you going to win? Things like that. It's like, I don't even think about that. I'm just going to wait and just see on the night. But I'm so excited to be there. And I'm performing the song that's nominated, Who Needs Hawaii, on the night. So that's kind of like my main focus, the actual performance.
And I believe you're also performing at the 50th anniversary concert the next day. So that'll be a big 24 hours.
Oh, massive. And I think I said to someone the other day, it's like, it's going to be a very calm after party for a lot of people if they've got other shows on.
Yeah, that's true. I'm also like the logistics of trying to wrangle that many different people into the trek, as it will be, but it'll be super exciting for everyone who is there, I'm sure. And also, it's a real achievement to have that nomination at the end of a period where I would imagine it's been the hardest ever to emerge as an artist. You haven't been able to tour. Who knows what's out there in terms of radio and how people are picking up your work. So did it feel a little bit like you were wading through the mire of the past couple of years to get to this spot, and then, you know, there is this great acknowledgement for you?
Oh, definitely. I don't know any different, obviously, but I think I always like to talk about, like with Blake as well, because we start at the same time. It's like, what would our lives look like if we hadn't had COVID or a pandemic in the way? And it's, yeah, because a lot of it, you don't even know what's going on. You don't know if people like what you're doing because you're not performing live. You don't know if you have fans or people that are interested. So I was just kind of pushing through. And then when I got the nomination, I thought, oh, someone's paid attention and thought that this is cool. Yeah, so it was really great to get that acknowledgement because, like you said, you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, and in a way, you and all artists who emerged during that time were test cases for how to connect with an audience online as opposed to live shows. So, I mean, social media has its pluses, has its minuses, but that would have been, I imagine, your main communication channel.
Oh, definitely. I think, yeah, social media was huge, like trying to find the audience that way, which I think we need to do a lot more of now anyway, because it's not like live music is dying or anything like that, but I think that's just such a big part of being an artist. And also because I wasn't able to perform, I think my videos, I really wanted people to be able to see me and see like what I'm like as a person in a visual context. So it definitely made me put more effort into the videos in that way. But yeah, I think social media is we don't like it and we love it at the same time.
Yeah, it is a conundrum that we're probably going to have forever. Now, playing live is back, of course, and you have some dates coming up with Jane Denham and the Wolf Brothers. Now, they would be some fun shows to be on.
Oh, so amazing. I think with both artists, we were meant to do stuff 12 months ago, but everything got moved around and whatnot. So I know I've met Jane and the Wolf Brothers, and I think we're just going to have so much fun. You know, it's going to be, be performing, and that would be like amazing to do. And then I think just hanging out with them would be great. So I'm really keen.
Yeah. And also interesting to see different audiences around the country, again, because you haven't had the chance to do that. Are you going to organise tours just for you, or are you going to wait to see how the rest of the year pans out with support slots for people like the Wolf Brothers?
Yeah, I think at the moment, just kind of playing it by ear, but I'd love to do like next year at least to go do some shows of my own. But it's about kind of people haven't been able to see me live, so it's about finding those people first and testing the waters and then see what we're up to next year. But I think that would be the great, like planning it myself and seeing where I would like to go, or where the Cass Hopetoun fans are in Australia.
Yeah. Well, also knowing that you have those other songs sitting there to be recorded, it's like if you wanted to, you could just roll it onto an album a year. Mind you, keeping up that pace would be pretty hectic, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Cass, congratulations again on the wonderful album, Not Your Typical Bride, on your Golden Guitar nomination. I think you've done an amazing job, regardless of the difficulties of the past couple of years, but I think it's really exceptional to manage all of that as an emerging artist, as an emerged artist now, and have this recognition. So congratulations again.
Thank you very much for that.
Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.